Aliens laughed at a human in their gym. Big Mistake Part 1. First contact. Jack Miller never thought he would be the first human to visit planet Zephyria. He was just a regular guy from Ohio who worked for the government. Now he stood at the window of the spaceship looking at the blue and green world below. His heart beat fast. This was really happening. 2 minutes until landing, Ambassador Miller, said the ship's computer. Jack nodded. Ambassador. The word still felt strange. 6 months ago, Earth had received the first message from the Zephyrians, or Caraxians as they called themselves. The aliens had been watching Earth for years. They had technology far beyond what humans had made. When they finally decided to talk to Earth, the world leaders had to pick someone to go meet them. They picked Jack. Why me? Jack had asked his boss. You're smart but not too smart. Brave but not reckless, and you look normal, his boss had said. We don't want to scare them. Jack looked at his reflection in the window. Average height, brown hair, some muscle from his morning runs, but nothing special. Would the aliens see him as normal? Would they be friendly? The ship landed with a soft bump. Jack took a deep breath and walked to the door. This was the moment that would go in history books. He straightened his blue uniform and waited for the door to open. When it did, bright light flooded in. Jack blinked a few times. As his eyes got used to the light, he saw them. The Caraxians. They were tall. Very tall. The shortest one was at least 7 feet, and some were closer to 9. Their skin was blue, a light blue like the sky on a clear day. And they had 4 arms. 2 arms came out where human arms would be. The other 2 arms came from just below those. All 4 arms ended in hands with 6 fingers each. Welcome to Zephyria, Ambassador Miller, said one of the aliens in perfect English. I am Krell, your guide during your stay. Jack stepped forward and held out his hand, then realized the alien might not know about handshakes. But Krell reached out with his lower right hand and shook Jack's hand firmly. Thank you for having me, Jack said. I bring greetings from Earth. Krell nodded. He had no hair, just a smooth blue head with small ridges running from front to back. His eyes were large and purple with no whites, just solid color. When he blinked, a clear lid slid across each eye. We have prepared a place for you to live, Krell said. Our air is safe for you to breathe. Our food has been tested and should not make you sick. But we have also brought Earth food if you prefer. Jack smiled. I'd like to try Zephyrian food if that's okay. Krell made a sound that might have been a laugh. Brave. Follow me. Jack followed Krell to a waiting vehicle. It looked like a car but had no wheels. It floated about a foot off the ground. 5 other Caraxians stood nearby, watching Jack with clear interest. These are members of our welcome team, Krell said. They will help make sure your needs are met. Jack nodded to each of them. One, a female with lighter blue skin, nodded back. The others just stared. The floating car was big enough for Jack to stand up straight inside. The seats were too large for him, made for Caraxian bodies. As they moved away from the landing area, Jack looked out the windows. The city spread out before them. The buildings were tall and curved, not square like on Earth. Many of them seemed to be made of a shiny material that changed color as they passed. Your city is beautiful, Jack said. This is just a small city, Krell replied. Our capital is much more impressive. You will see it tomorrow. The car stopped in front of a smaller building. These will be your rooms, Krell said. We have tried to make them comfortable for a human. Inside, Jack found a large space with furniture that was almost right. The bed was too long. The chairs were too wide. But it would work. Thank you, he said. This is very thoughtful. Krell stood by the door. Rest now. Tomorrow you will meet the High Council. They are eager to learn about Earth. After Krell left, Jack sat on the edge of the too-big bed and opened his computer. He had to send a report back to Earth. First contact had gone well. The Caraxians seemed peaceful, but something felt off. The way they looked at him. It wasn't hate or fear. It was something else. Like they were amused by him. Jack walked to the window and looked out at the alien world. In the building across from his, he could see Caraxians working out in what looked like a gym. They lifted huge weights with their forearms. They ran on, machines at speeds Jack could never match. They jumped and flipped with amazing strength. Now he understood the looks. The Caraxians were strong, much stronger than humans. They probably thought he was weak. And maybe he was, by their standards. Jack watched a young Caraxian lift a weight that had to be at least 500 pounds. The alien did it easily. They think I'm a joke, Jack said to himself. They think all humans are weak. He turned away from the window. This would make his job harder. How could he get the Caraxians to respect Earth if they saw humans as physically inferior? That night, Jack didn't sleep well. The bed was too hard, the gravity felt slightly wrong, and his mind was racing. The next day, he would meet the High Council, the leaders of the entire planet. What would they think of him? Would they take him seriously? Morning came with a knock at his door. Krell stood there with another Caraxian, this one in a uniform with gold markings. Ambassador Miller, this is Zarn. He will take you to the High Council. Zarn looked down at Jack with the same expression Jack had seen on all the Caraxians. Not hate. Not fear, just amusement. Like Jack was a child trying to act like an adult. Follow me, small one, Zarn said. Jack bit back a response. Getting angry wouldn't help. He had to be diplomatic. But as he followed Zarn to another floating car, he made a promise to himself. Before he left this planet, he would make the Caraxians respect humans. One way or another, he would show them that size wasn't everything. What Jack didn't know was that the Caraxians had already made up their minds about humans. To them, Earth was a backward planet with primitive technology. Humans were weak creatures who had just figured out how to travel between stars. The Caraxians had been doing that for hundreds of years. The human is small and weak, Krell had told the High Council the night before. Their planet has only had space travel for a short time. They will be easy to control. The High Council had agreed. Humans would make good trading partners. They might have resources Zephyria needed, but they would never be equals. It would turn out to be the biggest mistake the Caraxians ever made. Aliens laughed at a human in their gym. Big mistake. Part 2. The Challenge. 3 days passed since Jack Miller arrived on Zephyria. He spent most of that time in meetings with the High Council. The meetings were boring. The aliens asked the same questions over and over. How many people lived on Earth? What resources did Earth have? What weapons did humans use? They never asked about human culture or art or music. Jack felt like he was being studied, not respected. He needed to see more of how normal Caraxians lived. I would like to see your city, Jack told Krell on the morning of the 4th day. Not just government buildings. I want to see where regular Caraxians go. Krell's purple eyes blinked slowly. Of course, Ambassador, what would you like to see first? Jack thought for a moment. Where do Caraxians spend their free time? Do you have parks? Restaurants? Places for fun? We have all those things, Krell said. But most Caraxians spend their free time at training centers. Training centers? Like gyms? Yes, like your gyms, but more important. Our status in society depends on our physical abilities. Jack nodded. Now the aliens' focus on strength made more sense. I'd like to see one of these training centers. Krell made that sound again, the one that might be a laugh. As you wish. An hour later, they arrived at a huge building with curved walls made of the same color-changing material Jack had seen around the city. Inside, the ceiling was at least 30 feet high. The floor was covered with mats and strange machines, and there were Caraxians everywhere. Some lifted huge weights with their forearms. Others ran on tracks that moved at different speeds. Some fought each other in what looked like wrestling matches. This is the Central District Training Center, Krell said. One of our finest facilities. Jack walked slowly through the gym, looking at everything. The Caraxians looked back. Many stopped what they were doing to stare at him. Jack heard whispers. He didn't need to understand their language to know they were talking about him. Do many humans exercise like this? Krell asked. Some do, Jack said. But not all. On Earth, Physical strength isn't the only way to gain status. How strange, Krell said. What else matters? Intelligence, creativity, kindness, how you treat others, what you create or discover. Krell seemed confused by this idea. Before he could respond, a large Caraxian stepped in front of them. He was taller than Krell by at least a foot, with darker blue skin and bulging muscles on all four arms. So this is the human, the big Caraxian said. His voice was deep and loud. Everyone in the gym could hear him. I am Dorn, champion wrestler of this district. Jack looked up at Dorn. Nice to meet you. I'm Jack Miller from Earth. Dorn looked Jack up and down. You are so small. Do you wrestle on Earth? No, I don't wrestle, but many humans do. Dorn laughed. It was not a nice laugh. They must be very bad at it. Other Caraxians had gathered around now. They all laughed with Dorn. Jack felt his face get hot. Humans have different strengths, Jack said calmly. Like what? Dorn asked. You are small and weak. What can you possibly do better than a Caraxian? Jack thought carefully before answering. He didn't want to start a fight. But he also couldn't let this alien keep putting down all humans. Each species has advantages based on their home world, Jack said. You evolved here on Zephyria. We evolved on Earth. Different planets create different strengths. Dorn crossed his upper arms. Pretty words, but I see no evidence of these different strengths you claim. The crowd of Caraxians had grown larger. Jack realized this was a test. If he backed down now, the Caraxians would never respect humans. But if he said the wrong thing, he might ruin the chance for peace between their worlds. Perhaps a demonstration? Jack suggested. Yes, Dorn said loudly. Show us these human strengths. Try to lift our weights. Try to run on our tracks. Try to wrestle one of us. The crowd cheered. Dorn was playing to them, making Jack look foolish. That wouldn't be fair, Jack said. Your equipment is made for Caraxians, but I have another idea. Dorn leaned down. What idea, little human? A challenge, Jack said. 3 events of your choosing. If I can win even one, you and your people agree to treat humans with respect. If I lose all 3, I'll tell my people that Caraxians are physically superior. The gym went quiet. Jack had surprised them. You cannot win even one event against me, Dorn said. Then you have nothing to lose. Dorn looked at the other Caraxians, then back at Jack. Very well. 3 events. My choice. Tomorrow at midday. Everyone will watch you lose. Krell stepped forward. Ambassador Miller, this is not wise. Dorn is a champion among our people. I know what I'm doing, Jack said quietly. After they left the gym, Krell took Jack back to his rooms. Why did you challenge Dorn? He will defeat you easily. This will only make humans look weaker. Jack sat down on his too big chair. Sometimes you have to lose a battle to win a war. I do not understand, Krell said. You will, Jack replied. Tomorrow. That night, Jack sent a message, back to Earth. He explained the challenge and what he planned to do. The response came quickly. Are you sure about this? It could affect all future relations with the Caraxians. Jack sent back. I'm sure. They need to learn this lesson now. The next day, the gym was packed. It seemed like every Caraxian in the Yao city had come to watch. The High Council members sat in special seats. Dorn stood in the center of the gym, his 4 arms raised as the crowd cheered. Jack walked in wearing his blue uniform. The Caraxians went quiet, staring at the small human who had dared to challenge their champion. Are you ready to be humiliated, human? Dorn asked loudly. Jack smiled. I'm ready for the challenge. Dorn pointed to a large barbell on the floor. It was loaded with weights that had to weigh at least 800 pounds in Earth measurements. First event, lift this weight over your head, Dorn said. I will lift twice as much. The crowd laughed. Even with 2 arms instead of 4, Dorn was much larger than Jack. The human had no chance, but Jack just nodded. You go first. Dorn easily lifted his massive weight with all 4 arms. The crowd cheered wildly. Then it was Jack's turn. He walked to his barbell. The room went quiet. Everyone waited to see the human fail. Jack took a deep breath. He bent down, gripped the bar, and lifted. 2. Everyone's shock. The weight came up smoothly. Jack raised it over his head and held it there. The gym was completely silent. Impossible, someone whispered. But it wasn't impossible. And the Caraxians were about to learn an important lesson about judging other species. Aliens laughed at a human in their gym. Big mistake. Part 3, the revelation. The gym was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Every Caraxian stared at Jack with wide purple eyes. No one had expected the small human to lift the heavy weight. But there he stood holding it above his head, not even shaking. Dorn's forearms hung at his sides. "How is this possible?" he asked. Jack carefully put the weight down. He was not even breathing hard. "As I said yesterday, different planets create different strengths." An older Caraxian with fancy clothes stood up from the special seats. Jack knew this was Zax, the leader of the High Council. "Explain yourself, human," Zax demanded. Jack turned to face the crowd. "Earth's gravity is much stronger than Zephiria's, about 2.3 times stronger, to be exact." Murmurs spread through the gym as the aliens tried to understand what this meant. "Every day of my life I've carried my own weight in a pull that's more than twice as strong as what you feel here," Jack continued. "All humans do. It makes our muscles and bones stronger even if we look smaller." Krell stepped forward. "Is this true? Your message to us mentioned gravity, but we did not think it was important." "It's true," Jack said. "On Earth, this weight would feel much heavier to me. But here on Zephyria, with your weaker gravity, I'm much stronger than I look." Dorn crossed all 4 of his arms. "This is trickery. The human is using technology to help him lift." "I'm not," Jack said calmly. "Search me if you want. This is just basic science. Didn't your scientists warn you about this?" The council members looked at each other. No one spoke. "You didn't check, did you?" Jack asked. "You saw that I was smaller than you and just assumed I was weaker." More silence. Jack had hit the truth. "Let's continue with the second event," Jack suggested. "What's next, Dorn?" The champion was angry now. "Running. We will run until one of us cannot continue." Jack nodded. "Lead the way." They moved to a track that went around the outside of the gym. Dorn and Jack lined up at the starting point. "Begin," shouted a Caraxian official. Dorn shot forward, running much faster than any human could run on Earth. But Jack settled into a steady pace. He wasn't as fast as Dorn, but he kept going. 1 hour passed, then 2. Dorn began to slow down, his breathing getting heavy. Jack kept the same pace, steady and strong. "Humans evolved as long-distance runners," Jack explained as they ran. "Before, we had weapons. We chased animals until they got too tired to run anymore. Some human hunters can run for days without stopping." 3 hours into the race, Dorn fell to his knees, unable to continue. Jack jogged a few more laps, then stopped. He was sweating but still able to breathe and talk. "That's 2 events," Jack said to the stunned crowd. "Do we need to do the third?" Zack stood up again. "No, the point is made. The council requests your presence immediately, Ambassador Miller." As Jack left the gym, the Caraxians moved out of his way. They no longer looked at him with amusement. Now there was respect in their eyes. And a little fear. Krell walked beside him to the council building. "Why didn't you tell us about Earth's gravity?" he asked. "We did," Jack replied. "It was in the, information package we sent before I arrived. Did anyone read it?" Krell looked away. "Our scientists looked for weapons information, for technology details, not for gravity." "That was a mistake," Jack said. "When meeting a new species, everything is important, especially the planet they come from." The council chamber was a large round room with seats rising up like in a theater. The 9 council members sat in their places looking down at Jack. "Ambassador Miller," Zax began, "today's events have raised concerns about Earth's intentions towards Zephyria." "Why?" Jack asked. Because I'm stronger than you thought? Because you withheld crucial information, said a female council member. With respect, we didn't withhold anything, Jack replied. Earth sent complete information about our planet, including gravity measurements. It's not our fault if you ignored parts you didn't think were important. The council members looked uncomfortable. What else don't we know about humans? Zax asked. Lot, Jack admitted. Just as I don't know much about Caraxians yet. That's why I'm here, for us to learn about each other. But that can only happen if we see each other as equals. And if we don't? A council member asked. Jack's face grew serious. Then we have no basis for friendship or trade. Earth won't deal with those who look down on us. The room was quiet for a long moment. What do you suggest? Zax finally asked. A fresh start, Jack said. No more assumptions. No more judgments based on appearance. Let's learn about each other's strengths and weaknesses honestly. Zax nodded slowly. The council will consider your words. For now, you may return to your quarters. As Jack left the council chamber, he noticed Caraxians watching him from doorways and windows. News of what had happened at the gym had spread quickly. Back in his room, Jack sent another message to Earth. Challenge successful. Physical strength demonstrated. They're reconsidering their view of humans. The reply came back. Well done, but be careful. Pride is dangerous, especially for those who've been humbled. Jack looked out his window at the Caraxian city. He had won today's battle, but the real work was just beginning. Getting the Caraxians to see humans as physical equals was only the first step. Now he needed to build real understanding between their worlds. A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. It was Krell. The council has made a decision, the alien said. They wish to restart our diplomatic talks tomorrow, with a new approach. What kind of approach? Jack asked. One of equals, Krell replied. They also want to learn more about Earth's gravity, and human evolution, and everything else we missed. Jack smiled. I'd be happy to teach them, and to learn about Zephyria. Krell hesitated, then asked, the weights you lifted today, on Earth, how difficult would that be? Very difficult, Jack admitted. On Earth, only our strongest athletes could lift that much. So you are not actually stronger than Caraxians, just stronger here? Exactly, Jack said. Every species has advantages and disadvantages based on where they evolved. That's what I was trying to explain. Krell nodded slowly. A wise lesson, one we should have learned without needing a demonstration. Sometimes the best lessons come from mistakes, Jack said, even big ones. Aliens laughed at a human in their gym. Big mistake. Part 4. Diplomacy in Action. The next morning, Jack woke up feeling better than he had since arriving on Zephyria. The air in his room seemed fresher. The two-big bed felt more comfortable. Even the strange food tasted better. It was amazing what a little respect could do. Krell arrived to take him to the council building. As they walked outside, Jack noticed Caraxians watching him. But the looks were different now. Instead of amusement, there was curiosity. Some even nodded to him as he passed. Word of yesterday's events has spread through the whole city, Krell said. Everyone is talking about the strong human. Jack smiled. I hope they understand that I'm not special. All humans would be stronger here because of the gravity difference. They understand, Krell said. That is why they are curious. They wonder, what other differences exist between our species? The council chamber looked the same as before, but the feeling was different. When Jack walked in, the council members stood up. It was a sign of respect. Ambassador Miller, Zack said, thank you for joining us. Please, sit. A new chair had been placed in the center of the room. It was the right size for a human. Thank you, Jack said, sitting down. Zax looked at the other council members, then back at Jack. The events of yesterday have caused us to reconsider our approach to Earth. We were hasty in our judgment. We all make mistakes, Jack said. What matters is how we learn from them. A female council member named Nara spoke next. We have reviewed the information package from Earth more carefully. There is much we missed or ignored. Earth's gravity is not the only difference between our worlds. another council member added. Your atmosphere, your oceans, your very sun, all shaped your species in ways we did not consider. Jack nodded. Just as Zephyria shaped Caraxians. Forearms, for example, they must be very useful. They are, Zack said. We can perform complex tasks with our upper arms while our lower arms provide stability or handle simpler tasks. And your eyesight, Jack said. I've noticed you can see in light that's too dim for me. Nara smiled. It was the first time Jack had seen a Caraxian smile. Our sun gives off different wavelengths than yours. We evolved to see in lower light, but we cannot see some colors that you can see. The conversation continued like this for hours, each side sharing information about their species and their planet. No one was trying to show superiority. They were just learning. When they took a break for food, Jack asked a question that had been on his mind. Why did you contact Earth? What do you hope to gain from our relationship? The council members looked at each other. Finally, Zax answered. Resources. Technology exchange. The usual reasons for contacting a new species. But Jack sensed there was more. And? Nara sighed. Protection. There are other species in the galaxy. Not all are friendly. You've had problems with them? Jack asked. Not yet, Zack said. But we have heard stories. We hoped that by making allies we would be safer. But we thought we would be the strong ones protecting you, another council member admitted. Now we see that each of us has different strengths to offer. Jack thought about this. Earth had much to gain from friendship with Zephyria. The Caraxians had technology far beyond Earth's, but they needed friends too. It was a good basis for a real partnership. Earth would be happy to be your ally, Jack said. But true allies respect each other. They don't look down on each other. We understand that now, Zack said, which is why we have a proposal. The proposal was better than Jack could have hoped for. The Caraxians wanted to set up regular exchanges between their worlds. Scientists, teachers, artists, people who could learn from each other and teach others. We should understand each other before we try to work together, Nara explained. No more assumptions. Jack agreed completely. After they worked out the details, he sent a message to Earth with the good news. The reply came back quickly. Excellent work. The president is very pleased. Keep it up. That evening, there was a dinner to celebrate the new agreement. Jack sat at a table with Krell and several other Caraxians. I have a question, one of them said. If humans are strong because of Earth's gravity, what other adaptations do you have? Many, Jack said. We can handle extreme temperatures better than most species. We heal quickly from injuries. We can eat almost anything. And your minds, Krell added. Humans are known for being unpredictable thinkers. Jack laughed. That's true. We often find unusual solutions to problems, like challenging a Caraxian. Champion to prove a point about respect, Krell said with what Jack now recognized as a Caraxian smile. Exactly like that, Jack agreed. As they ate and talked, Jack realized something important was happening. The Caraxians were no longer seeing him as just the human. They were seeing him as Jack Miller, a person with thoughts and feelings, and he was seeing them as individuals too, not just the aliens. It was the beginning of real understanding. Later, as Jack walked back to his rooms with Krell, he asked a question. What happened to Dorn? I haven't seen him today. Krell made a rumbling sound in his chest. He is adjusting. His position in our society was based on his physical superiority. Now he must reconsider his worth. That must be hard for him, Jack said. Yes, but necessary. We all must grow. Jack nodded. When I go back to Earth, I hope you'll visit someday. You'd be much weaker there because of the gravity, but I think you'd find it interesting. I would be honored, Krell said. And I would not mind being weaker. It would help me understand your world better. That night, Jack looked out his window at the alien city. Lights glowed in the darkness. Caraxians moved about their business. It all seemed less strange to him now. Tomorrow, the real work would begin. Setting up the exchanges, planning for the future, building a bridge between two very different worlds. It would be challenging. There would be misunderstandings and mistakes, but Jack was confident they could work through them. The Caraxians had learned an important lesson about judging others, and humans would learn lessons too. All because some aliens had laughed at a human in their gym. Aliens laughed at a human in their gym. Big mistake. Part 5. A new understanding. 1 year passed since Jack Miller first arrived on Zephyria. He stood at the window of the New Earth Embassy, looking at the alien city below. So much had changed. In that year, the building he stood in didn't exist when he first came. Now it was a busy place where humans and Caraxians worked together every day. 20 more humans had joined Jack on Zephyria. They were scientists, teachers, doctors, and artists. They had come to learn and to share. And on Earth, 15 Caraxians were living and working too. They had special rooms with lower gravity to help them feel comfortable. They wore special suits when they went outside to protect them from Earth's stronger pull. "Ambassador Miller, your next meeting starts in 5 minutes," said Steve, his human assistant. Jack turned from the window. "Thank you, Steve. Who am I meeting with today?" "Dorn, sir. He's here to discuss the sports exchange program." Jack smiled. Dorn had changed the most of all the Caraxians. After losing the challenge to Jack, Dorn had been angry at first. But then he had become curious. If a small human could be so strong on Zephyria, what would a Caraxian be like on Earth? What new sports could they create together? Dorn walked into the office. He was still big and strong, but he moved differently now. With more care. He had visited Earth 3 months ago. The gravity there had been hard on his body. "Jack." "Good to see you," Dorn said, holding out his lower right hand. He had learned that humans usually shook with their right hands. Jack shook Dorn's hand. "Good to see you too, Dorn. How are the plans coming?" They sat down to talk about the new sports program. Young Caraxians and young humans would train together, learning games from both worlds. They would create new games that used the strengths of both species. "The gravity gym is working well," Dorn said. "Humans can exercise in Earth-like gravity. Caraxians can try different levels to prepare for visits to Earth." "Excellent," Jack said. "And the swimming program?" Caraxians were not good swimmers. Their heavy bodies sank easily, but they had found that in water this problem went away. Swimming was becoming popular on Zephyria because of human teachers. 3 new pools are being built, Dorn said. People love it. After the meeting, Jack had lunch with Krell, who was now his closest friend on Zephyria. They ate at a restaurant that served both Earth and Zephyrian food. "The trade agreement is working well," Krell said. "Earth metals are very useful to us, and our plant medicine is helping human doctors." Jack nodded. "Both our worlds are better for it." "And the Defense Pact?" Krell asked quietly. The Defense Pact was new. Earth and Zephyria had agreed to protect each other if either was attacked. They had even started building ships together that could use the best technology from both worlds. "Moving forward," Jack said. "The joint fleet will have its first ship ready next month." Krell looked around the restaurant. Humans and Caraxians sat at tables together talking and laughing. "Did you ever think it would be like this, when you first came here?" Jack thought back to his first days on Zephyria. The looks of amusement. The feeling of being seen as weak and primitive. "I hoped it could be," he said, "but I wasn't sure." "It almost went very wrong," Krell said. "If you had not challenged Dorn, if you had not shown us our mistake." "Someone would have figured it out eventually," Jack said. "Perhaps. But how much time would have been wasted? How many wrong ideas would have grown stronger?" Jack had to agree. The challenge in the gym had changed everything. It had forced the Caraxians to see humans differently, and it had helped humans understand the Caraxians better too. Later that day, Jack visited a school where human and Caraxian children learned together. The human children were much stronger on Zephyria than they would be on Earth. The Caraxian children were fascinated by human games and stories. A small human girl was teaching a Caraxian boy how to play hopscotch. The boy was clumsy, trying to use just 2 arms instead of 4 to match the girl. They were both laughing. They don't see each other as different species, said the school principal, a Caraxian named Lyra. They just see friends. That's how it should be, Jack said. That evening, Jack wrote his weekly report to Earth. He described the progress on all the projects, the trade, the defense pact, the cultural exchanges. But at the end, he added something personal. One year ago, some aliens laughed at a human in their gym. They thought humans were weak because we look small compared to them. They didn't understand that different worlds create different strengths. Today, those same aliens work with us, learn from us, and respect us. And we have learned to respect them too. Our mistakes led to understanding. Our differences have made both our worlds stronger. As Jack finished writing, he looked out at the Zephyrian night. Somewhere out there in the galaxy, there were other species. Some friendly, some not. But Earth was not alone anymore. And neither was Zephyria. Jack thought about all the things that might have gone wrong. If the Caraxians had remained proud and dismissed humans as weak. If humans had become angry at being laughed at and refused to work with Caraxians. If either side had let fear or pride get in the way of understanding. But none of that had happened. Instead, a mistake had led to learning. Laughter had led to respect. And 2 very different species had discovered that they were stronger together than apart. As he prepared for bed, Jack smiled at the thought. Sometimes the biggest mistakes led to the best outcomes. The Caraxians had laughed at a human in their gym. It had been a big mistake, but it had turned out to be exactly what both worlds needed.